Guys, if you are patient enough to be hanging around, I do see a couple people. Just know that a little bit of it is just doing my thing to give the pig his chance to catch up. I know that he was min-maxing against me earlier. I did quantify that with about a little bit of time, and he had about 5.5 hours on us. So let's see where we're at, and eventually I'll get it sewed down. I'll be able to just like look at it visually and say that's a couple hours or whatever. And again, we're looking at rating, and we're not looking at win-loss per se. Yeah, he's like 26. He's like 28. So that's 12. He's about 2 hours and 20 minutes behind us, so we can get some ground, and let's go. We have about 200,000 or so more dots before we get to 1 million. That'll be fun. Hey, what's up? Sorry I have not been very vocal in chat, Matthew and Karzak. It's just been a long day. Hope you're having a good day. Not that long, Karzak. It's not been that bad. It's just been a long day. I've been trying to get the strength up to get a good push so I can start doing some of the other projects I have, but Pig has been really been behind me, man. It's been really close. I'm just trying to keep everything cool and collected so I can keep the titles through Memorial Day and then through Independence Day, and we'll see where we're at there. But it's gonna be a long ride because there's a lot of people coming up the pack, and Pig is like taking little bites out of the lead. I had about 5.5 hour lead, and now it's only about 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I thought I was gonna be able to get some more sleep, but I have to get through and get enough leads so Braden can have a lengthy Dark Souls session, and I really do need some quality time with him in a good Game of Day May session together, so we're gonna have to figure that out. We have some stuff on the list still, and then we obviously have one spot for the community poll, so we're still in the throes of getting that all together, and just also not losing the record to Pig because he could possibly catch us slipping like we did him. So, but we're just trying to basically build up. I'm basically trying to bank Braden's Elden Ring and the Game of Day May time, so I can sleep during. Oh my God, that was horrible. So I can sleep when Braden's doing Elden Ring, and then wake up when he's at the end of his first really good sesh, and then we could do a good Game of Day May episode together. Something fun, something light. The tension's a little bit high around here because it's just a lot to deal with. It's graduation time. The energy's in the air. A lot of people, I'm making sure when I see young people on the street to tell them to have a good summer. He's also going through the throes of it being the first summer where it's then a summer after the first summer after he's been in school. So I'm not putting myself in a position where I remember what it was like for that, and then how I'm feeling about where I'm at in my place. And if I was working for Google YouTube coming out of high school, I'd feel pretty successful. I feel successful when I say I work for Google. So, and I mean, I was working a really unappreciative movie theater job trying to just pop popcorn. So, that I didn't feel like I was doing anything with my life. And then here's him like with so much potential. And like I had another person I was working with, his name was Brock, and like I was talking to him about how much it must suck to be in the situation where academically he's not good at all. He's got like, and I mean he knows he was listening. We talked about this, so I'm not calling you out. Like online, we talked about it. Like his academics is pretty poor, but his leadership skills is excellent, and like he's gonna do great things for the community because he already has. Like he did this thing where they had so much money for student council, and the D&D club needed money for handbooks, and instead of like making them get PDF files or some bullshit like that, he actually convinced them to fork up some money, even though they didn't understand what it was, and he really didn't either. Like he's more socially, he socially networks in a way, which is like really what I'm learning how to do. And he was able to socially, explain it to them why it was important for them to cultivate awareness that doesn't mean just because it's not their thing that they don't have to deal with it, but other people can enjoy it. Kind of like that's how we feel about the Vid-Bits. Like I promise, guys, I'll stop being so hyper and crazy. It's just nobody knows what it's like when you get to live your dream and when you get to do it with your son. And you get to, and then know that he gets to think about bigger things to do in his life other than his dream that he's already talked about his whole life. Like, I don't know. There's other kids that think that when they say that they're gonna do those things, and you say you can do anything, and they say they're gonna do them. You know what I mean? And then you're like, sometimes their goals are so unrealistic that you can't, as a parent, tell them that that's not gonna be possible. But you definitely want to continue to motivate them. But I thought his goal was reasonable. I just thought how satisfied will he be with it. And then we had an strained relationship where I spent too much time with myself and I was building up these skills. So like be able to use any of them to help grow our brand, which if anything else gets him on a level where he can be displayed as the superstar gamer that I know he is. So the things I get to feel validated as a 43-year-old gamer, I know that he will not have to hide in the fucking cave for as long as I did. And it's only because I made it so he could do whatever he wanted, but then I've also made his life difficult because he could do whatever he wanted. He still has had bounds, but like, I mean, to be honest, he just quantified it to me like in the way where it's, when people have this perception of what you're supposed to be in society, what happens when they don't know what to deal with, when you were very humble about what you were going to do, and then they still don't think that you're achieving anything when you're moving in silence. We keep saying moving in silence around here. There's times that I'm too hyped up, so I'll turn the mic off and I'll move in silence and do a maze or two. Like, what do you do then when you are making it? You know that you are. You know that you're living your dreams and they're just happening faster than you ever could feel. 1 year after you're supposed to get out of high school, and now you have to then think about new things to do. I've now, unfortunately, in public, just asked people, what do you want? And I'm making people mad. And if you don't make some people mad, then you won't offend them. And if you don't offend them nowadays, you won't get their attention. That's just the way it is. We've made that way as a society when we say, hey, you're doing that wrong, and all of a sudden somebody thinks it's an attack when all you're trying to do is coach them. I don't know if my grandfather could have dealt with a society that's like that. He would have been really pissed off. He's like just trying to show you how to sweep up something, and you're thinking it's like something else, and like people do take it like something else. So that when somebody like me doesn't know how to not have the gift of gab, they have the gift of gab and not shut up. It's like sometimes it's because I think I only have one chance to say it, but like I do also have to say it so I can process it in a way where I slow it down enough when I hear my own words so I can make less mistakes. And if I'm meditating on Pac-Man and it's late at night, I'm just trying to learn as much as I can about myself. There's other people who can do really great things and they can micromanage those things while they're doing it. I guess mine is trying to counsel myself, and if you can relate to some of it, cool. And if I seem crazy, at least hopefully like the Pac-Man stuff, you just turn me down. Just turn my shit down. Realize that it won't be like this forever. We do some really cool stuff like Braid. I was quiet during that. It was very emotional. It was the first piece that I produced where I wasn't talking through it. And I just don't ever want to be too intimidating for anybody because I'm intimidating for myself, and I really will. I promise it'll dial in. It's something I have to do for me, but like, there's a difference between somebody saying less is more and you getting it, or somebody saying less is more and you feel that you're offended by it. But when you're telling yourself less is more while you're constantly trying to do that, it still means that you're just trying to like wait for everything else to hit. Like when it's lightning in a bottle, it still needs to break and it needs to dissipate, or it still needs to just like hit the ground. So it's still in motion and it's still just nerve wracking right now. So we're just keeping it real as we're just continuing to show our lives as the Vid-Bits, which is just our family crest, man. We're just not disclosing what our last name is. We're just very much raw individual humans, and I think that the reason why you tune in is because we're amazing gamers as well, but we're very relatable. And once we all like figure it out, it's gonna be amazing. Brayden's already figured it out. I'm the crazy one. Like, that's why people like are like, man, you guys sound like the same. I was like, I don't want, like, I want you to watch Dave and like watch my characters so that you can hear my voices be different and stuff. Because when I'm crazy right now, because like we're, you know, trying to keep this championship for the Vid-Bits, and I'm trying to deal with the social pressures and deal with being and stuff like that. It's one of those things where I'm never trying to offend anybody, especially him, because like at the end of the day, I love that guy. Like, he keeps me grounded, and whenever I'm like rattling him and shaking the system, and there's that system shock. No plug for the Game of Day May episode that we did today or whatever, but I love him so much that I only also get, as much as you only get one chance to make a good first impression, you only get one chance to correct when you fuck up. So, because like you can fuck up and they can forgive you, but you can create a fucking scar, right? Emotional scars are just not discussed enough. So, Bray, I'm sorry that I emotionally scar you sometimes, but maybe like when you think about them in retrospect, you'll just know that it's never been anything other than either love, peace, or misunderstanding. Alright, that's being said, let's catch up in chat. I say, let's see. Cars, I can't get a job because no one will accept me because I think it's because I'm overweight. Unfortunately, people that are discriminatory are horrible, Karzak, and there's actually anti-discrimination laws. I think the best place that you should go in is try to get like a job in like a pharmacy or like a nursing home or like a local medical community where they need help like that, like people doing cafeteria work and stuff like that. They're so humble to people that want to do that stuff. They would never turn you away, and they always need help at like those residential areas and stuff. Like, you don't have to get into it and do super like involved stuff that you're not comfortable with, because they call them candy stripers, you know, nurses or whatever, but like also just assistants and stuff to do, like, you know, sweep the hallways with the vacuum and stuff, and like change the linens and shit. And it may not be fun stuff, but you can get your foot in the door, and like, you know, then there's so many other jobs within those types of things that you can do. And you know, again, they're not discriminatory at all because they need those people to do that, and it's a thankless job. So, you know, just try to, and it may not be putting yourself in the most comfortable situation, but at least consider those things, that there's more things to do than what you're maybe doing that are limiting you. Because also sometimes if it's like a tight work environment and you may be a little overweight, some of those lanes are really fucking tight, and it's like then they're actually not accommodating for somebody that's overweight, which is really wrong. But I know that there's been restaurants that was converted from other restaurants, so like the lanes are really tight and shit, so you can't get around each other barely as it is if they're like medium to a little hefty size. So if you're overweight, unfortunately, they consider that kind of stuff when they do it, and they're like, well, then that limits you to where you can be useful for them. And most of the time, they think that they're hiring you in for one position and they want to use you as a utility. So I think you'll land on your feet where it may be like you're not like getting settled in with where you're supposed to stay for a long period of time, because you never know if your next job could be where you're at for a while. So, you know, don't do anything. Don't, just keep your head up. It's gonna get there. You'll be fine. I think people are confused. I'm getting confused with people. Voices of my face. I try to get used to voice by talking. Actually, days and days. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I can't get into any Pokemon right now because like it's so involved. Because like if I'm in it, I'm in it to win it. But I did max out Blue when it came out with my buddies in high school. Like, we all switched and filled out Pokédexes and high-fived and was good with it. And then I was mad that I was done with it when Yellow came out. But I think I'm gonna do Yellow sometime for the channel. But I don't know. I gotta finish Yellow first. I like Pikachu. Yeah, I don't have time to like do RPGs right now because of the Pac-Man stuff. Number one and number two, I think I've said it before. Like I don't know. As a viewer, I was always thinking it was cool for RPGs to exist on channels because it was something I couldn't afford. I could vicariously live through their play. But if you're like OCD about it, then you like are mad that they're not playing in your brain how they should, or if they miss something, then you don't want to be that guy in chat that backseats too much. You want to be the kind of just right person, but then it can just make you so mad because you know it's something they're never gonna get. And then like also like the grind of just facing mindless rank and file enemies that's not like varied and fun. It's like for me thing, so I can put on like a movie in the background and do it. Like it's not interesting for somebody else to do. Like I feel like I could do a cut sometimes if I like cut out all the grinding and it was just like some of the big fights and story like stuff. Like I could make like I could curate and produce something cool, but I don't feel like I could do that live for anybody. I don't think I could stream like a traditional RPG unless like something crazy came out and like the fans wanted it, then I'd be okay. But like still, I feel like that time could be used better somewhere. I don't know why, but and I love RPGs. Bray knows this. Like he has so many on the shelves. Like I almost like collecting them like a book more than actually playing them. You know, it's like it's a good book for a rainy day, and you're just like waiting for the good opportunity to mess with it. But they're so intensive because also this is the thing, like there can be a game that you can actuate or produce in a way where you're actuating it would it's fun and you can make somebody live vicariously through the experience and by playing a role, and that's one thing. But when you're playing like a JRPG or something like that, they're almost always curated so personally that you're playing a role that if you don't really link up with a specific type of person, so me playing the role-playing game my way may not make it as interesting for you, and then yeah, the thing is to provoke you into playing it too, but then maybe if I do it wrong you'll never play it. Versus if I like use the camera right and like a first-person narrative game and I sweep around the environment, I show you all the water effects and all the lighting effects and shit, then like I really think you know, I can narrate a great experience even if I'm silent. But I don't think that you know, if I do a RPG that's a JRPG and I just keep rank and file beating enemies and grinding for 1 in 400 drops for things near the end of the experience because it's gonna help me with one battle and then I'm never gonna use it again because that's unfortunately the type of gamer I am, that's not interesting for anybody to see, and I'm doing it and it's not interesting enough for me where I have to have another TV on doing something else while I'm doing it. So why the hell would I show you that? Like, we all grind in RPGs, so like, I guess if we were all doing it together, it'd be one thing. Like, say we're all playing Borderlands, so like, oh, we need this orange drop, so we're always going and downing this boss to get it. Like, you know, like whatever that one thing is. I don't remember what it is, but yeah, I love RPGs though, so I'm not shitting on them, and they're really some of the building blocks of some of the things I love the most about the gaming culture is what they've done as far as, you know, be living stories and living storybooks and stuff. So Ray says he loved the original Pokemon. It was always very important to me as a kid. Karzak says, well, I don't mean you need to do competition. I was just playing and Go operates, and I'm pretty good there. Pokemon Scarlet or Violet, I've done it, but I wanted to do a raid with a friend because I have builds that would be great support, but I don't have the anyone your brains seem cool. Yeah, I mean, eventually, you know, there'll be some time where somebody's gonna want to be talking about Pokemon, and then, you know, once everything's rolling and the fun club's got the funds for it, if you want that, then we're definitely gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like, right now we're limited to what we have in our backlog. We have physically that's, you know, here, the backlog's mainly, and then, you know, when everything starts rolling and stuff, then like when somebody makes a decision like that and you want to do that, then that's an easy thing where we just download things, and like the pipeline's so fast nowadays that those games aren't super huge. And Pokemon IPs, as much as I like to collect them physically, they're so expensive, like, but digitally, you know, when you get them, they're always in demand. So yeah, it really just depends, but I'm not against it. I have to look into it more though, because the last one I tried to get into, I just couldn't get into. I was just like, just couldn't do it. I don't know. It also could be just a thing that you and Bray may like more, and I'm not putting that on him. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, he's also got so much going on that like it's got like I'm gonna do System Shock now because I wanted to do that, and like it's kind of like my gimmick on the channel to joke about that. So, but that was a big investment, and then I also did it for Game of Day May today, and I didn't put a lot of time in it. I kind of dicked around, kind of like put my toe in the water for you guys, so that nobody felt like I was trying to spoil the experience, so that people who want to watch the playthrough can. But I wasn't gonna get an immediate lengthy intro with it with Game of Day May, because like it's one of those games that I don't know how people do certain first-person perspective games. I'm very meticulous when I go through these games for the first time, so the playthrough that I'm going to do is going to be so slow that for Game of the Day May, that I was already starting to get bored enough with my own gameplay that I was falling asleep, and I was like, that's not going to do it justice. Gotta wake up, and then Bray can guest star on some of them, and I know that he will, but that way when I'm like awake and alert, I can give that game the attention it makes, because I spent like 3 years on that remake, and I was really looking forward to that. Let's see. I have a switch in my gesture. You're overthinking it very quickly. I just meant I wanted to have fun as well. No, I just wanted you to know that it's not anything else about that. It's just like it's also trying to get you excited, because like I've always wanted to be in a position. I've seen people when somebody suggests a game, they just go, okay, click, and they get it. Like, and I always thought it was like a flex. I was like, no, that's just great when the community wants to do that. We'll have really big databases for the Switch and stuff, and be able to just do whatever, because I'm interested in every game. I'll play Paint Dry Simulator if somebody wants to play it, if I don't have to worry about you know, balancing something else that might be needed. You know what I mean? It's definitely nothing like not taking you the wrong way. I can't, it's not like we're excited about having an infinite library, but like we both have such tremendously deep backlogs that we can just sit here and go through, I don't know, between that and just legacy consoles, like 20,000 games. So we might not be able to take anything out that's coming out normally for a while, but we would never run out of content for a long ass time, even if we just started like looking at what we have in the backlog. That, you know, those damn Game Pass subscription services, man, I'll tell you what, especially if you like, or like the Steam library stuff, if you just start squirreling away, dude, they can get really overwhelming really quickly. We did at one point. We have the channel. Like, I mean, before we put everything all in the channel, it was like, because he was growing up, it was like my Switch, their shit. So it was like, no, it's like, it's pretty much all our stuff. Like, I guess it's my PlayStation 5 and his Xbox Series X, but like, really, it's, if he needs the Switch to do something or whatever at this point, you know, we're just really loose with it. But we did have separate consoles at one point. Was depending on what we were doing, but the Switch, unfortunately, I love the Switch. This little PSA is not like a shy away from how awesome the Switch is. It's buds. It's like you're 7 years old. It's not like the Game Boy. You can't ride that shit for a decade. They gotta just realize that the tech needs to now improve, and they already know that. So, you know, as long as everybody's not relying on anything that's coming out for the Switch currently to run at 60 FPS, we're good. Because that's not going to happen, because it can't do it. So, it's sad. It makes me sad. But 7 years is a long time, and there's a lot of great games for that. And there's a lot of games for it that work around the parameters of 30 FPS well, and around like the games that are in my wheelhouse, which happen to be RPGs, like 16-bit RPGs, some with some really good depth with you know, the 2.5 HD effects and like good soundtracks and stuff, and they can all fit on the little chips, and some of it doesn't even have to have extra things downloaded to them. So yeah, it's amazing for that, for the arcade stuff. The fact that for the first time ever we got ROMs of Donkey Kong Jr. Those were never released before the Switch. The Nintendo never did that. So so for me, that will always live in my heart for the Switch. But like, they've now taken and like facelifted off anything off the Wii U that was notable and ported it to the Switch, and made sure they got all that done. So the Wii U now is really not even worth hardly anything except for the games that are completely okay on disc, that can't have to access the internet at all, that were just never ported, which is like a few. So that's now taking up space. And then the Switch itself, I'm worried that all the really good games that came out in the beginning and then all the games that are coming out at the end are just going to then get smashed up together and then be like the launch titles and some of the things that they, if not some of the things that are like mid year or fourth quarter on that, and then we're going to be like, okay, we've already done this again. Like, but it'll be really pretty. It'll probably have some sort of like amazing control method, because if you look at how they did the stuff with HD Rumble, the controller, there's points where you can feel like there's individual marbles rolling around in a Joy-Con, and to me that made me feel like exciting, because that's what they do. They trade their console as a way to use R&D and open up their toolbox and their toy kit to like look around and say what would work. So I mean, me and Brave been talking about Princess Peach Showtime. It's literally a hub world a la Mario 64's Princess Peach Castle, where each little door takes you to like a different game that didn't work out or could be okay or could get fleshed out. Instead of just like letting it die, they're like, nope, that's just its own little thing, it's fine. And instead of it being like 32 levels, it'll just be 4, and then we'll just spread them out throughout here, and that's to be this costume, because they had those great ideas but they couldn't actuate it into a full game. It's also how like they did some of that stuff with the vertical climbing in Mario in the initial series. Like obviously there's Up the Beanstalk in Mario, but like they wanted to have more vertical platforming than they did, and they didn't really actuate that till you know, Doki Doki Panic. But that was then, you know, they were like, of course that could be a Mario game, because they wanted to do vertical platforming, but out of like you know, Kid Icarus. But it's difficult to do it and make it fun consistently, because like you look at Ice Climber, and then to me it's not as fun as somebody like Bray enjoys, and he enjoys the shit out of that. So yes, yes, absolutely. Bray did give his Switch to somebody that needed it, and like that person gave it to somebody that needed it too. So it was like the chain of switches. So we already had one, and we were not dual gaming at it all. So, you know, to me, we're always about giving back to people that need it, and it's kind of like Bray's middle name is after my papaw, and my papaw was like the person that would definitely give away something that he gave you. If he would give away something he gave you if he caught you not appreciating it. So like Bray was to the point where he appreciated it, but he knew that somebody really needed it and couldn't afford it, and he knew that he could just access ours whenever he wanted. So mine became ours, because of course we use content at different rates, and there's times that he may have like something crazy in his idea that he wants to do, and we have a lot of Switch games too. So it's like, never want to like say that can't be your comfort game. I know that we're kind of honing in a lot of Xbox and PlayStation right now, but I promise I'm not saying we're end of the life cycling Switch content. We'll do it when it makes sense, but you know, we're going to be really selective, because the market is very oversaturated with Switch content, and I think that we're going to look for those hidden gems, you know, that we're not supposed to say about Switch content, because it'd be really cool to feature those indie and Switch game and hidden gem Switch games before the console rides off in the sunset. And guys, in case you didn't know, you guys have now earned us $97 towards the Switch 2 and its accessories. If you didn't know about that, I appreciate you guys for doing that, because it's awesome. I thought for sure we were just gonna like save up and foot it all, but you know, you guys are on your way to helping us get the console for sure, and you know, we'll then get as many large titles as we can with it and be able to do some amazing coverage when it comes out, because it's important for us to be able to keep up to date with that, because we all know that journalism is subjective, and sometimes people, you know, may have alternative motives. And for me, I'm always going to be upset when they didn't play the game long enough because of the genre. I'm not ever going to be political about it or say who could be paid or whatever, but when it's like this specific genre, you didn't play it long enough to appreciate it, or you didn't give your review thing the respect that you're a reviewer, so you like rush through it. That's just never fair, because there's so many people that put their lives out there to make great games, and you could be just the one that makes it so they don't get exposure and they don't get sequels, and indie developers are shut down. So just be mindful about that, guys, because it just kind of sucks when that happens. You know, you could just really tank a brand or a IP just because you played like that 100-hour RPG for 2 hours and like, yep, it's not for me. Yeah, it's a boring tutorial in the beginning. Probably not for you.
The Switch really needs the next version. I hope it gets an upgrade announcement soon. It says Karzak, my PS5 is in my mom's room. Letting her use it for apps until she get her own Series X. Bud, you need to just go get her a Fire Stick or a Roku that's $30 so that you're not getting your shit taxed unless she's watching Blu-rays on it, because that shit's way expensive, and you can get a Roku for like $30 and it plugs in the USB port, and you won't have to worry about it like your system getting like banged around and ran for apps instead, you know, when all those apps are also on the Roku. Just a piece of advice, because that's like a $500 piece of machine. I know, like, man, they're just expensive, right? So like if it's just apps and it's not something that's gonna be like a disc based thing or like a Blu-ray, and even then if you got an app thing like the Roku and then like a Blu-ray player, and sometimes they even have those built in, you could still get that for $50-$70 and be saving the wear and tear on your PlayStation 5 unless you have a warranty on it and you don't mind. But I assume these things are freaking beastly expensive. So I mean, I'm only saying it as a person that has done that before, where I'm like lazy. I'm like so lazy that I'm using my console to stream a streaming service on a TV that's got Roku built into it or whatever, and all I have to do is switch the fucking input and then turn my console off, and instead I'm like, nah. Like, you know what I mean? So this is not coming from anybody that's coming from any place other than love. Is like, don't beat your shit out of your console so they can watch Hulu. And you could do that on the Roku. Yeah, but I respect that you do that. Hey, what's going on, Matthew? Sorry I didn't touch base with you earlier. I've just been all over the place. No, Karzak. I mean, if you say that she's watching apps, I was assuming like Netflix, Hulu, all those and stuff. So like you can digitally access those from a little thing called a Roku. It's like a little receiver that you can plug in the USB of your television, and then it comes with a remote, and they can come as cheap as $20. And so like it can just connect to all your all her app accounts, and then like basically it turns your TV into a Roku TV no matter what your TV is. And so then she can access her apps through that little $20 box instead of your PlayStation 5, and it can be back in the setup in your house, in your room or whatever if you wanted it to be. You don't have to do that, but if she's playing games on it or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, if she's just watching it for Netflix or Hulu or whatever, you don't want to run your amazing console over and over again, so that they can do that when there's ways that are, you know, less taxing on that machine that do the same thing, is what I'm saying, because it won't make it perform any better. It would only make sense if you're running apps on it and then also running like Blu-rays and stuff on it, you know what I mean? Just a little friendly advice. You can do whatever you want, you know what I mean? It's cool, you can do whatever you want. I just want to make sure that she doesn't, you know, ruin your console, because man, I remember the great war of the Xbox, where if you tilted it, it fucking burned a ring in your disc. So it was brother and sister, best friends, husbands and wives at each other's necks. Like, I didn't move your console, and why is there a ring in the game and it doesn't work anymore? Because then they wouldn't even take it back in GameStop unless you had the warranty. That's back when they actually would give you your game back if you had the warranty and it was physically damaged. Now it has to have some sort of like, it's some sort of technical error. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, I just have the games for the patients at the moment. She tried to use the PS5 and trying to get her to use the Xbox. Yeah, no, I know. I needed to buy her a new Xbox. My brother stole her Xbox. Yeah, I know that shit happens, man. I don't use discs anymore. Oh, I can respect it. And I was actually thinking about saying that. If you had like the discless version, we just try to like use original hardware as much as possible. So like having the discs is pretty cool, but I can respect the fact that it's a lot of space, and it does make sense for some people, especially if you're in an area where you don't have a lot of space and stuff. So totally respect that. Totally respect it, Karzak. I didn't when I was younger. I was like, oh no, physical forever. But there's things that make sense, because if I would have bought digitally Mario Kart, the last one, and the Grand Theft Auto 5 and Skyrim one time digitally, I would have probably saved, realistically, $200 to $300 in the course of the last nine or so years at least. That's just ridiculous. If I would have bought them one time digitally, but instead I'm like, no, they have high resale value, and they always have. But the problem is you always sell it because it goes on a pass service, and you always have to rebuy the shit. And then you're like, damn, that's the game. So, you know,
take that for what you will. It's a really, really hard thing to deal with. But yeah, I can respect the not using discs anymore, if anything else, because you can have less shelf space dedicated to that. I'm really into the Switch media though. The cartridges are just cute. It's fun. It's funsies. Let's see if the pig has caught up some. Nope. No, no, no. I think I'm going to switch over to some sleeplessness. If that's cool, if you guys want to hang out for some sleeplessness, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let me get myself a little snack and stuff. It's been a long day. I'll just be straight up honest. I just made Bray upset because I'm a jackass sometimes with my words. I just stumble all over them, and I just been tripping all over my words to everybody today. That guy in chat rattled me. He's having, you know, he is having that whole thing that, like I said, it's been a whole loop 1 year after he's been out of school, and I just remember, like, I was like, man, am I where I'm supposed to be? But I was already in the throes of becoming a parent, so sometimes when I talk about all the things to do about being empathetic to other people, I just don't stop to breathe and listen and think about the fact that my son's going through those things too. So if you're a parent, just realize that you should do that. Just take a breath, stop, and think, what do you want? You know, I keep telling you that. Think about that also, as what do you want, as far as like what do you want for your child. Well, I want him to be happy, so let me stop fucking up my role in that. Because obviously everything's going well for us, and we want to keep going well for you, and I'm just sorry, you know, that, because it's just, he deserves the world, man. And I know that he's got it going on, and I don't know how I would feel if I was him, because I don't know how I feel being me, and we're 25 years difference between each other, so. And again, this is all for the gamers, man, because we were just chilling in my room, chilling in the house that we were at, like just chilling, just driving each other to be the best gamers we could be, and like we're now getting a platform to let other people know that they can do it too, and we can compete against them and have fun, and I cannot wait to do that kind of stuff. Like, we couldn't get like the people around us to do it. Like, I had built the best game room ever, and everybody's like, yeah, I'll come over. And you know, I mean, you know, we got that stuff going on with Pac-Man and stuff, and I'm just not even calling people anymore because I don't want to come over here and pretend that it matters now. It matters the most for me, for you guys, because I wanted to inspire the gaming community that you could do something in a small amount of time and find a way to make it work, and also stay in your own lane and have fun. And so when that kid today said that this game was a baby's game, I took it really fucking personally. It could have been an adult, it could have been a kid, but it's also the world giving me a lesson that as we get more steam, so to speak, that we're going to have a higher position as influencers, and I think that Braden now realizes that too. And so when you're in this situation where you're trying to figure everything out, and then you're in a platform where you're enjoying doing your dream job, and then you're worried about worrying whether or not that's validated to other people that don't understand it, which I'm dealing with that too on different metrics. You know, it's got to be hard to have all that to come together, and I have to respect it more, because as much as you guys may respect the grind that we're on, and the pressure that may seem that we're putting ourselves under, but it's not pressure until we make it pressure, and unfortunately we're happy doing this, but we're trying to figure it out in real time in front of you guys. So that's the part of it they don't talk about when you're getting there, and I guess because we're just so raw and real, we're just more transparent about it than other people. But I promise, you know, it's one of those beautiful things that you have to be, you know, shooken up a little bit to grow, because if not, you're just complacent, and we are never complacent here because we've been told not to be. But I will learn to be more prudent with my words to him in the future, because I never want to affect his mood before he comes on the air for you guys. And he does a lot of great things, and he's having so much fun just finishing up Dark Souls 3's DLC going into Elden Ring, which he will start tomorrow, which I hope that you're excited for. I know he is. You know, don't worry about donos for any of that stuff. We definitely got that locked down, and we have, you know, we'll have the DLC taken care of and stuff too. But shout out, I don't remember
who specifically threw a lot of that, but I know that basically he felt that that was paid for by a member, and that's amazing because, you know, to know that he was going to do it anyways, but that was helpful, was very sweet. Like earlier today, Cindy giving us the groceries, the dono to help with the chompness. There's some pizzas, some great freaking frozen pizzas, and you know, some all the things for a champion. So, but obviously Bray will be digging on that too. But because of that, we were able to pay for you know, doing the projects that we want to do, like the new Braid release, and then Prison City. If it's a spoiler, if you're hearing about it, is going to be the game, a day May game. You know, either today or tomorrow. I haven't decided. I might do that late. I haven't decided. Either way, that's coming soon. That was paid for by that because she bought the groceries, and then also I will be starting System Shock remake now. We did the first episode for Game of Day May today, but I will be doing that as a series episodically, which will be now my comfort game as my comfort game Dave moves to my bits game. Not that we're just going to do it in a small amount, but because I know that I can do it 3 to 5 hours then, and consider that like an excellent bit. But like most of the time, I keep it about an hour 45 to 2 minutes anyways, so it can still consider it a bit, because there's times that you'll be doing a strategy game or something for a while and just get into it, you know what I mean? But there may be other times that I just want to do a dive or two then, and that way I don't have to feel like I'm stressed and I still can't put Dave out for you, so I'm kind of just restructuring that as well. Also, if you didn't know, the Conquest, the road to number 1 is now changed to road to 1 million, and that's been my goal now, is to try to hit 1 million points live before 4th of July. For everyone, I got 1 million dots coming up, that's why the title is that, and let's check in on that. I'm not saying nobody's hit 1 million dots, I'm pretty sure they haven't, because it would have to be in ranked and not count. But right now we have almost 800,000, so we're getting there. We're 4/5 of the way there. The reason also why I named it 8 million dots is because it's the next high metric that I'm looking at. Unless the pig makes a huge move, we are you know, the big metric is that, and then we're going to do 300,000 as the next big target, and so we don't have that coming up for a while, so we're just going to keep cruise control. We're not going to keep giving him too much time, guys. I promise you in the next day or two. I'm just training for getting my sleep schedule regulated, because I still haven't regulated it back from when we took the crown. So when I get back regulated, and it also doesn't interfere with Game of Day May stuff, so it may actually end up around the end of Game of Day May. That's when I will just push so hard in a couple days that he will not be able to mathematically catch up, and I will be able to do this how I want to do it, which is basically a pack snack 2 different times a day. And then if we get a little bit more hungry and forget our manners, that's fine. But we won't have to do any more epic streams. We won't have to do any more legendary streams. We won't have to do any more mythic streams unless we're pushing towards crazy shit. But I will have to do crazy grinding that will be on the Pops Plays channel. That's not the Sportscaster channel on this, if that makes sense. I'm going to try to use those 2 times a day, the pack snacks, to start focusing on the 2 lower leagues. So that way we do the way that we're doing the Chomp Champ League, then we'll drop down and show the Diamond people, and then the Platinum people as well. So what it'll be is one show will be the Platinum, the biggest level will always be on the Pops Plays channel, with the grind that's going on to get us towards the goal of 1 million. But 2 times a day on the Vid-Bits channel, you're going to get spaced out throughout the day, and more towards like a morning show, and then more towards like an evening show. You'll get a pack snack with an update. With in the morning, it'll be the people in the Diamond tier, or the whatever, I think it's Platinum tier, whatever. Why is Diamond and Platinum like switching my head? I can just scroll down, it'll tell me. Just trying to let you know the format is flashing out. So basically in the morning, there'll be the Platinum tier, and then in the afternoon / evening, based on how it doesn't affect other scheduling, you'll get a pack snack with the Diamond tier, and that's when I'll feature those guys when I figure out exactly where the metrics are for that, and how I can get in here and not dork around and make it look the same way as I do the top. So then when I'm doing the late night shift, you'll see all of that grind that's going towards getting us towards 1 million at the end of the day on the Pops Plays channel. That way you're not seeing too much here, but you're still kind of getting kept in the loop. And then if you want to see even more, because you're a Pac Maniac, you go over to the Pops Plays channel. So that's where it's starting to head there. I hope that you appreciate it as we're figuring it out. It's really hard to hone it in, guys, and so if we talk too much about the process, it's because I feel like if I overspeak, you can say that's not a good idea, I think this is this, but also know that some people that are coming in here are not coming in here for Pac-Man. They're just coming in here to support us as a channel, but we're being very careful to put this in. This is our ESPN Sports Center, so to speak, so we can get the E-League launched and people can get aware that they need to know about the Daddy Marks and the Stammies and the P-Mans. I'm still trying to wake that dude up. Like, but say he was paying attention and he had his socials. You know what I mean? That's the thing. I'm trying to get him to do that, right? So he starts recording his gameplay on his socials, and then when I call him out, then people can be like, yeah, he's cool because he's number 17, and then some other kid's inspired by him, so he goes and clicks on his video. Because Lord knows I've spent time clicking on people's videos today that did not deserve my time. But man, I'm trying to get people like Stammy and the Guardian fans such time so that they get fired up and like we'll be motivated to show people that there's movement for this league. But also Moist got screwed over by US Immigration and he needs a E-League project. He's passionate about speedrun community anyways, so I know this is a natural fit. I just don't know the channels to get to him. It's not like I haven't talked about it for a couple days now because I feel like there's nothing else I can say, so I know it'll just happen how it's supposed to happen. If anything else, we'll bring it up ourselves and you just can see how passionate we are, and if we still need philanthropy for it, I think that Charlie would probably feel passionate about the project just on its own, even if we didn't advertise it. And I don't want to advertise anybody's help. If they're cool with just helping with donos about all these cool projects, and we can under the table this shit so that we can get off the running. We're not doing this for fucking like publicity at all. I think these people deserve that because I thought back in the day when Starcade was out and they would just show like a young person and an old person like in the same game going against head to head against like Super Pac-Man or something, and they were even because they had to face each other in all these arcade games, all the different ages and stuff, and they used mathematics to match them up. So sometimes you were having like an adult versus kid, and it was awesome because like then when the kid humbled the adult, like you were like, yeah, but then when the adult beat the kid, somehow you're like, oh, but really you shouldn't, because like most of the time it was the kid getting just swamping the adult still, which is like maybe because it was publicly done in '83, like to start to disconnect where people are like, oh, adults are never going to be better than kids at video games, like, you know what I mean? So then people that were like kids that wanted to do it knew that they could never really fully do it forever because they were going to turn into an adult and they were going to be like ridiculed, or like, you know, Braden's in a situation where he's not socially acceptable because he can say he works for Google, but it doesn't make sense to older people. Like my grandmother still does not get it. I'm like, yeah, we were validated that we're doing well, and she still doesn't get it because she's 83. So some people just not get it, especially when there's like, get off them damn video games mentality is just really ruined people's perception of what it is versus what they think it is. And that's what we are trying to change too. It's just like, man, it's not just about putting your cat ears earphones on and making like cross-eyed face and, you know, the peace sign, and then like doing shitty gameplay. Like, it's not, that's not a gamer. Like, that's a person that's an actor that's pretending to be a gamer, and like that person's bringing like bad eyes to the culture. So alright, Skippy, sorry I like talked through all that. I appreciate you, bud. Love you, Skips. Destroy All Humans, Path of the Freeron, digital 360 edition uploaded to cloud. Yeah, I know, man. Like, I've heard such good things about Destroy All Humans, and I've never gotten into them, so maybe we'll have to do that. If there's something that's multiplayer, that sounds like fun. I need something mindless where it's like a button masher or something just for fun. That's why we're like getting into the Castle Crashers again and shit, because it's like when you're doing tension stuff, like when we were doing the zombie stuff, I wish we would have done like something like that to break the tension, but then, you know, eventually it was just like the tension was the next one supposedly wasn't as bad as the previous one, so like, and then eventually it did build where they were getting better and better, but then like at the end, my god. And if you want to see that, that's a shameless plug for that folder. Yeah.
Alright, I'm slipping. I appreciate you coming back, Matthew. I just wanted to push it a little bit. To quantify, I don't really have a lot of time in front of him now. He's starting to catch up to me a little bit. 3,000. It's like... I only got about 3 hours of sleep now, so I'm gonna go get 3 hours of sleep and see where he's at. I'll see you guys, love you. I'll see you in a little bit. So, see you soon. Hopefully the piggy does not wake up while I'm trying to sleep for 3 hours. 3 hour lead, guys. Trying to keep it for everybody. Love you.